Are you wanting to invest in real estate, but you just don't know how to get started? Is there something holding you back? In this video, I'll be going over 3 common objections I commonly see through people when it comes to them not being able to get started with real estate investing, and I'll show you how we can overcome those objections and how to ultimately get started with investing in real estate. Welcome back, it's Tom here from Moffett Mortgages. Thanks again for tuning in. It's always a pleasure having you guys here joining me for these videos. As always, please feel free to like the video down below, hit the subscribe button, hit that bell icon. That way you don't miss videos like this in the future. And it also allows me to grow the channel so more people like you can see this video. Okay, so let's dive right into it. The first common objection I see with clients is that they say they don't want to be a landlord, which I totally get it. I totally understand why they may be thinking that. You know, being a landlord does involve some hands-on work. You know, I'm not saying that it's completely passive, but there are some ways to make it as passive as possible. The first way we can make this passive is, let's say we buy that rental property and you just don't really want to always have contact with the tenant and you don't want to have late night calls. Well, there's someone you can actually hire for that, or they're what's called a property manager. So property management companies, they essentially take care of the tenants. They are the direct source of contact with your tenants. So if there is a late night call, or the classic toilet, the plumbing issue, then they'll contact the property manager and they won't be contacting you at all. And then of course your property manager will contact you if there's a big fee, and this ultimately just cuts you out of the picture unless there's something that the property manager needs to do to tie you in. For me, for example, when I have my properties set up and I have my property managers taking care of those properties, I have automatically set limit as to what they can charge me automatically. So for example, if there's a plumbing issue, I tell them, you know what, like any costs associated with fixing the house or the problem itself, just set it at $3,000. Anything under that, I will take care of. I'll pay it automatically. Don't bug me for it, just do it. But anything over that, I obviously want them to reach out and we can discuss what the issue is and discuss different price options in terms of what the actual issue is. Another thing property managers do is, say you find your house, you want to rent it out, but you don't want to do the whole tenant screening. Well, they will do that for you. So how it works is property managers will screen all the tenants that apply for your to rent out your place, and you do not have to do a thing. You can, of course, once they compile a list of high quality tenants, you can vet the last or the top 3 if you really wanted to. However, if you want it to be completely hands off, just tell them, you do your thing, you pick the tenant that you think is best, and away she goes. So if you're thinking of going the property manager route, you can typically expect between 7 to 8%, 10% on the higher side. And what the percentage is it's the percentage of the monthly rent. So say for example, your property is renting out for $2,000 a month. 8% of that would be $160 per month that you're paying towards the property manager. Now, some people say that in terms of their cash flow, they don't want any of it eaten up by these property management fees, but it's all preference. So for me, I want it to be hands off as possible. So I will gladly pay that 8%. To me, that's not a whole lot if it means that I'm not waking up at night for those 2 a.m. phone calls from my tenants. Okay, so common objection number 2, I don't know how to get started. If that sounds like you and you're feeling a little overwhelmed in terms of how to get started in investing in real estate, the first thing I would say is I'm a big podcast guy. It could be books, it could be audiobooks, podcasts, whatever suits you. Just start diving into educating yourself on a daily basis. If that means just downloading and listening to 2 podcasts a day, that will significantly help you understand real estate and just how to get started and the overall basics in terms of just where to start and what real estate investing is. For me, I like to listen to my podcast when I work out, so I'm ultimately killing 2 birds with 1 stone. And if I'm working out for 2 hours, that is 2 hours of quality education that I am giving myself while I'm working out. So that's something I do. For you, it might be something different, but the overall bottom line is just start educating yourself. You don't need to go full pace right away. Just take your time with it and go at your own pace. Now, the second thing I would do is leverage people. So what I mean by that is, you definitely want to build out your team before you do anything. So who's going to be on your team? Well, you're definitely going to have a realtor, you're going to have a mortgage broker, you're going to have a lawyer, an accountant, and maybe even a property manager if you're going that route. Those would be the bare bones that I would say that you start developing on to develop your team. So a lot of the times, either a realtor or a mortgage broker has these sources that they can have for you right off the bat. So what I would do is reach out to a realtor or mortgage broker first, and they will have that team already assembled for you. And if they don't, for example, if you're reaching out to a realtor or a broker that just doesn't really deal with a lot of real estate investing and they don't have that team built out, well, me personally, I would keep shopping around until I find that broker or that realtor who really does dive into the niche of real estate investing, because you don't want to have someone on your team that isn't really experienced in the real estate investing niche. So by building out your team right off the bat, it will for sure fast track your progress in terms of finding your first real estate investment property. So common objection number 3 that I constantly keep hearing is, what if the market crashes? Now this one's my favorite because you always have those people that are saying that the market's going to crash, and really nobody knows what the market's going to do over the next year or two. And I understand where they're coming from, because with the crazy appreciation that we've seen and the real estate bubble that we're in right now, I totally get it. But you know, when you look at the supply issues here in Canada, I personally just do not see any crash happening anytime soon, because the lack of supply means there's a lot of demand out there, and I just see the prices, fortunately or unfortunately, continuing to rise. Depends on what side of the pendulum you're on. However, if you can get into the market today, even if the market crashes next year or reduces by 10, 20%, if you're buying and holding long term, then none of this will affect you. Because real estate, when you're buying and holding long term, you're always going to win, because history shows that real estate always goes up over the years. So if you're trying to do a quick fix and flip, maybe I would err on the side of caution for doing that, because you definitely don't know what's going to happen next year with the market. Although I do see it continuing to go up, as I mentioned. However, that is a more riskier approach to real estate investing. For me, I just simply do buy and holds, because I know over time my asset is going to appreciate over the long term. So that's it for today's video. I hope some of these points that I went over just kind of make you think differently if some of these questions were applying to you. And at the end of the day, you kind of just need to take that step forward. And as long as you have that team assembled and you have the basic foundations in terms of how to invest in real estate, it's really not that complicated if you're doing a simple buy and hold. So again, leverage your team and you will get there a lot faster than you'd think. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next one. So for example, if you're renting out your property for say $1,000, of course, if it's 8%, it'll be